right. This is the Double Take Podcast, episode 4. This is your host, Kamikaze G.
This is the co-host, Mentor B.
And we're back at it again with episode 4. Yes. So, okay, another eventful week. A lot of stuff in the headlines yet again.
Yeah, definitely a lot going on.
Yeah. So, what have you scoped out recently, B?
Well, so far I've been paying attention to the Soulja Boy and Chris Brown beef that's been going on in social media.
Oh yeah, that crap. Oh my god.
Yeah. At first it seemed as though it was something that was gonna result in violence, and it's actually taking a turn for something a little bit more constructive and professional. It seems as though Soulja Boy and Chris Brown are going to sort out their differences in the boxing ring. Yeah, and it seems as though Mayweather is going to be training Soulja Boy, and it's been confirmed by Mike Tyson himself on his Instagram that he will be training Chris Brown. Now, at first I was team Chris Brown because he's the bigger guy and just seems like the person who's more likely to win the boxing match. But man, I'm team Soulja Boy right now. The reason why is because team Soulja Boy is one hell of a quality shit talker. And one of his most recent shit talks is he said, "What the hell is Mike Tyson gonna do in regards to training Chris Brown? Teach him to bite off my ear or something?" Mike Tyson's pretty hot about that. But let me tell you this. They said that they're considering having this bout in Los Angeles, and provided that it actually goes down, I will be up front. I will definitely buy my tickets.
Okay, well, I mean, this all, what happened because of some Twitter beef or whatever?
Well, it seems as though it stemmed from Soulja Boy liking a picture from Karuchi, I think that's how you pronounce her name, on Instagram. Yeah. And everybody knows Karuchi is an ex of Chris Brown. Right. And we all know how Chris Brown kind of gets hot and bothered by very easily. He has a temper problem, right. As we were all became aware of with his altercation with Rihanna back in 2009. So yeah, man, he kind of got upset about Soulja Boy liking a picture of Karuchi. It seems as though that's where it stems from, and it really seems adolescent. That two grown men would get into a fight over such a diminutive thing. Yeah. But I'm glad that they have left the gangs out of it, and they have decided to do something a little bit more professional. I think it will also help to encourage a lot of black boys to get involved in boxing, because I feel as though that's something that's missing from our community. And, Soulja Boy says that he was going to be the first one to want to donate, from the proceeds. So that's what's up.
Where's he going to donate?
I'm not sure, but there was a interview that happened with Mayweather, Soulja Boy and Mayweather, and I forget which medium he was talking to, but it was a hip hop news medium, and Mayweather was saying, hey, Soulja Boy has his foundation that he could donate to, and I'm sure Chris Brown has his foundation that he can donate to. So at the end of the day, it's all about giving back. So that's what's up.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Well,
so I wish those two the best.
Yeah. Well, to me, I mean, okay, they got Mike Tyson, they got Mayweather involved. I even heard 50 Cent being involved in this.
You know what? I heard about 50 Cent being involved to some degree. I really don't know what he has to do with it thus far, because at first even Adrian Broner was on board. But Adrian Broner, I think he has a fight in February. I think it's either February or March. So, and I think Mayweather was correct in his assessment, saying, hey, Adrian Broner needs to fall back. I got this. I will be the promoter of this event. he needs to focus on his boxing match. And you know, Mayweather and Adrian Broner are fans, and I'll be the first to admit that I'm a Adrian Broner fan as well. And I agree with what Mayweather said. He just needs to focus on his boxing match for now. But as far as 50 Cent, I really don't understand what he has to do with it. I think he's just extremely interested, like everybody else.
He seemed like the Don King of the group or whatever.
Yeah, maybe so.
Promote.
But anyway, let's go ahead and get to the rundown of the show. We're going to talk about the shooting that occurred earlier this week, or actually it's Sunday, last week now, last Tuesday in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, where unfortunately there were some deaths. Then we're going to talk about the so-called BLM kidnapping that occurred in Chicago, and then we're going to wrap it up with some talk about Donald Trump, what he's doing with his cabinet, the recent documentary that was put out about his life on YouTube. It's a very long documentary, so if any listeners out there decide to look it up and listen to it, make sure that you make time to do so. I think it's about 77 minutes long. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. So there was a shooting in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I believe it was last Tuesday. The name of the perpetrator was Esteban Santiago. It was a white Latino. And I mean, this guy was just crazed out of his mind. I mean, I believe he is from Alaska, and they said that he was actually getting some mental therapy before he made a trip down to Florida. He bought a one-way ticket down to Florida, and if I'm not mistaken, I remember reading that he served his country. He's a veteran, so. Provided that guy was deployed somewhere, most likely Iraq, it kind of messed with his mind. And as a result, this guy just kind of went haywire and ended up blasting 5 people. 5 people died. He secured a gun. He had a gun, but he was attempting to travel with that gun in a legal method. He had the gun completely empty, no bullets in it, and in a lock case. And somehow he was able to get a hold of that firearm, take it to the bathroom, put a clip in, and then just come out blasting away. So really, really messed up what happened there. And it was a white guy that did that, a white Latino. Now let's move on to the so-called BLM.
Let me just make a little comment about that story.
You got something to say? All right.
Yeah, it just seemed a little odd. You know what I'm saying? The whole story to me, when I looked at it, there was, like you were saying, he was crazed out of his mind. But I believe he was crazed out. Yeah. Yeah. They were also saying that the guy was he was screaming out, saying that he was the CIA was trying to get him or something like that, or what?
That is true. He said that he said something about how the CIA or the FBI was trying to control his mind.
Exactly. And I've heard different stories, like the one black guy who was at the Navy pier or something, where he was shooting. He was saying that they were trying to get in his head and all this, that, and the other. I mean, I know my conspiracy mind started percolating a little bit, and I've watched or read stories about this program called MK Ultra.
Yeah.
MK Ultra, where they control the mind and they put stuff in your head. So that kind of like rang my conspiracy mind a little bit. I'm like, is there a purpose behind the madness? Is there something going on here that we should know about? Are they coming for our guns or something like that?
Well, you know what? To some degree, I mean, whenever you sign up for the armed forces, your mind is going to be manipulated and controlled regardless. I mean, let's remember that my brother, he was in the Army, and it's not a nice word to use, but it's a real word to use, and that's brainwash.
Exactly. They say even a guy that I used to work with, he said he went to the Army. He said what they do, they break you down. They break you down mentally. And they'll build you up. I mean, they do it in more ways than one, I guess. So. Yeah.
And I was in the Air Force. They pretty much call us the Cub Scouts. But anyway, I knew a guy that was in the Marines. And, I asked him, hey, man, how was it like being in the Marines? And he was like, hey, they pretty much break you down. It is what it is. That's what they do and build you back up.
Yeah, it just was harkening back to that one story with the guy with the Navy pier up there. He said they were coming after him with his mind and the tinfoil hat. Like maybe they're radiating his mind and all that shit or whatever the fuck. But yeah, they got stories about that. Look it up. MK Ultra, man. It may have legs. That's all I'm trying to say. There could be an alternate agenda to this whole Puerto Rican dude or whatever the fuck he is situation. So yeah. But B, what was the next story?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna check that out. MK Ultra, no doubt. The next story was the kidnapping where there were four, I believe it was four young black adolescents, and they basically kidnapped this mentally disabled white guy. I believe they taped his mouth shut. They started cutting his hair. And almost kind of like scalping them to the point where his head was bleeding after cutting off his hair. And all of this footage was made available on Facebook Live.
Yeah, Facebook Live. Yeah, I don't know what the deal is with the Facebook Live these days, but go ahead. Yeah.
Well, anyway, in that the video, they were saying things like, F President-elect Trump, so just kind of spewing a lot of hatred for President-elect Trump, which a lot of American people can empathize with because, we really don't like President-elect Trump, as he's said some atrocious things during his campaign all the way up until now. And he continues to say extremely flabbergasting things regarding the American people. But what happened was a lot of white supremacists, such as Richard Spencer from the alt-right, tried to use it as an example of saying, "Hey, you see, white people are attacked all the time too." Yeah, and then they fallaciously labeled this a BLM kidnapping. They've checked and they've made sure that these black adolescents have absolutely no connection with Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, but you know how Black Lives Matter is. It's a code word, pretty much. Yeah.
What they like to do is the white supremacists have basically tried to use BLM, try to portray it as some kind of terrorist group, and then apply that to every black person that gets caught up in any kind of crime, especially when that crime involves a white person. Right. So that's basically all they're trying to do is propaganda. Yeah. But let me just say this. There are other hate crimes that occur in this nation.
Oh yeah.
One in particular that occurred recently was Idaho teenager, a white person up in Idaho who sodomized a black teammate. Exactly. A black teammate.
With a coat hanger, right? Or something like that?
Yeah, with a wire hanger. He was not punished whatsoever.
Exactly, right? So
right.
What the hell? Come on, man.
Well, I think it's fair to say the difference between the two is when it comes to the four black adolescents who physically assaulted and kidnapped this disabled white person, they are going to get punished undoubtedly, whereas a white person who did an atrocious crime to a black person did not. They did it with impunity. That is the difference. Justice system.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. I mean, they like to pick and choose which is which. You know what I'm saying? Like, like this whole situation with the four kids, man. It's just, they make it seem like okay, since they did it, all these people did it. Okay, what about Dylan Roof? You know what I'm saying? Okay, he fucking killed 9 people. All right.
Right. And also, let me just say this. I'm going to put out a little statistics. I know statistics can be a little on the boring side, but it's all the truth. The FBI tracks hate crimes, and some of the most recent information that they have regarding hate crimes is from 2015, and according to their data, there was over 4,200 hate crimes reported, and more than half of them were hate crimes against black people whereas 18% of them were victims of anti-white bias. So that just goes to show black people continue to be the main victims of hate in this country. Right. As much as white supremacists try to portray the victims, black people as the victimizers, and the victimizers, them as the victims. So, moving on, again, there was a documentary that came out called The Narcissistic Sociopath, referring to Donald Trump. And in this documentary, you know, there was a lot of people that were speaking about Donald Trump, people who had the opportunity to meet him in the past, to work with him. And I remember one person said that, you know, if Donald Trump didn't get attention, he would be miserable. I mean, this guy's an attention whore, which, you know, obviously isn't too hard to believe. Yeah. But also just want to say this. Donald Trump, people like Donald Trump and the people that he's appointing to his cabinet, those are the real white supremacists of this country. And they're saying right now that his cabinet members are pretty much going to be some of the wealthiest cabinet in all of history, in all of, you know, presidential history. Yep. And it's very important that we are able to realize the differences between the elites and the peasants. A lot of times, if I was to have a classroom full of people and I said, hey, raise your hand if you think Dylan Roof is a white supremacist, a lot of people will raise their hand and say, oh, yeah, most definitely. But no, that's not the case. Again, like I said earlier, the real white supremacists are people like Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. People like Dylan Roof are white supremacist collaborators.
Yeah, or patsies.
Exactly. So, because white supremacy is basically an elite club of people who are white. Mm-hmm. And the people who voted, a lot of the people who voted for Trump, who live in rural areas and red states, those are wannabes. They want to be part of that club. They want to be part of that club. And they maintain allegiance to that club despite not being in that club. The reason why is because they're given incentives. And when I say that, I don't really mean that. I mean that incentives with quotations around it. Quotations as in, you know, they get to kill black people with impunity. They get to rape babies with impunity. They get to rape women with impunity. And they get to do a whole lot of other uncivil things and just ultimately get away with it. And, yeah, that's the difference. I mean, you know, before Dylan Roof did his iniquitous crime, I mean, Kamikaze, we both had more money than Dylan. You know, I mean, he's a poor guy. Right? Yeah. But the difference between him and us is that, you know, he can do things in this society and get away with it. Right. You know, all the way up until murder.
Yeah, murdered him and got to go to Burger King afterwards. So, yeah.
Exactly. So, so what's happening is these peasants, they continue to fall for the okie doke. Meanwhile, they're getting, you know, and, you know, I have to resort to a little profanity here. They're still getting fucked in the ass too. Right. Because, like, for example, Trump is hell-bent on repealing Obamacare. That's what's happening. And provided that he's able to make that effective, more than likely Obamacare is going to play out through the rest of this year, 2017. And then when it's time to sign up for it again, November of this year, provided that he's successful in repealing it, those people won't have health care. And a lot of people were kind of upset with Obama when it came to implementing Obamacare because there was a hike in the premiums. But a lot of people have to understand that the hike in those premiums are due to the individual insurance companies and not Obamacare in itself. Obamacare has actually helped more people than hurt people, and it actually benefited the rural hospitals in red states more than anything else. So once they repeal Obamacare, bam, those hospitals are going to lose billions of dollars. And yet all I see is, you know, people on Twitter and on Instagram saying, "Yeah, I voted for Trump, but I hope he doesn't take my Obamacare away." So I mean, these people are basically indirectly opting for suicide.
Yeah.
They're opting for suicide in hopes that something is taken away from black people. That's just how sick-minded these people are. And there's a popular saying in Kamikaze G, you know this about me. You've known me for quite some time. One of my sayings is, it doesn't make sense for someone to continue living while being that stupid. I've said that lots of times. And look what's happening. People are basically committing suicide at this point. People who could have lived another 20 years, but now they won't because their insurance is going to be taken away. Their health care is going to be taken away. So, that's where we're pretty much going to end it and wrap it up. And what I would like the listeners to take away from this is, let's know who our titles belong to. Donald Trump, that's the real white supremacists. The real white supremacists are white people who are part of the 1%. All right? Have a lot of control over everything, whereas the peasants who are not part of this elitist club, they're just the collaborators. They're the wannabes. They're the minions.
The pawns.
Like Kamikaze G, they're the pawns. They're the patsies. They're the wannabes. And they're the fools.
Right.
Constantly fooled.
Yeah, the rug's gonna be pulled out from under them real soon, right? So.
Oh yeah. They're definitely gonna receive their wake up call, and I'm glad. And the sad thing about it is a lot of them still won't learn anything from this Trump's presidency. But then at the same time, I don't believe Trump will complete his whole entire presidency as well. I don't believe that he's going to stick it out for the whole 4 years.
Well, let's just see if he gets into office. We still got a few more days until he's actually inaugurated, so we'll see that there. Okay, so once we get in there, let's see that. But
oh yeah, one more thing I wanted to mention. I know that Barack Obama gave a party this past Friday night.
Oh yeah.
And it's a party where he invited a lot of A-listers, a lot of black people, and some of these people who attended the party were people who were selected for Donald Trump's inauguration, and of course they turned him down because Donald Trump has had a really, really tough time getting A-list performers for his inauguration. So I was on the message board typing about that, and I said, hey, that's kind of like a fuck you. And one guy responded to me and said, it's no kind of to it, it is.
Pretty much.
Yeah, so I just thought that was hilarious. But, yeah, man, that'll pretty much do it for the night. I'm glad that everybody tuned in. I'm glad that everybody got an earful of this radio podcast, and I hope they enjoyed it. And look forward to bringing you more news and more discussion in the future regarding things that goes on in this crazy country, U.S. of A. And I don't think it's going to be a dull moment. The Trump presidency is going to be all on Twitter, and it's going to be a laughing good time.
Yeah, I'm already laughing right now. But anyway, yes, Brian, damn it, I've done it like 18 times already.
That's why they call me Meant to Be. B is for Brian. It's all right.
B is for Brian. I will get it together one of these days. But anyway, yes, good points, B. And we will get that going, and we'll try to wrap up this show because this one was a bit on the express side compared to our last one. So, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so until next time, this is Kamikaze G.
Mentor B.
And we're wrapping it up. See you next time, all right?
All right. Good night, everyone. Bye.